Israel allows aid into Gaza, a territory they are fighting in a war against the elected government. What does Douglas Murray think about this? Have a watch.
What Israel is doing, first of all, what is your opinion? Do you feel that it's right that Israel is giving so much aid at this point with our hostages still there?
Well, it's a very uncommon situation, isn't it, in the history of warfare, for one side to be fighting and also nourishing their opponents. I think it's an extraordinary testament to this country that it does that, but it's highly unusual. I can think of no other conflicts, actually, that I've covered or seen or read about in which that's the case. There seems to be a perception that Hamas is allowed to start a war, and then when it loses a bit, is allowed to say, let's pretend we didn't start it. Again, I know of no law of war that allows that. The humanitarian aid situation is a very, very big problem. I mean, because, of course, as everyone knows, Hamas enjoys Palestinian casualties as much as it relishes Israeli casualties. It's an uncommon situation in war for one side to not only want the murder and death of its enemies, but to also wish that its enemies will kill its own people. Well, of course, that's because Hamas is a death cult like ISIS or Al-Qaeda. But that means that the laws of war are different. But it's very peculiar that the situation that Israel is forced into, where it has to fight this very uncommon enemy, and yet is also expected to supply them and much more. There's no doubting the appalling suffering of many of the citizens in Gaza. But that's what happens if you start a war.
He makes some really important points here. Douglas makes some important points. Yes, it may be a sign of Israel's humanity and empathy that they allow aid into enemy territory, but I'm not even sure that it's moral. Yes, there will be some innocent people caught up in Gaza, even though much of the society, the education, the media, and the civilians support Hamas. We know that from recent polling. But even so, maybe it's to Israel's credit that they do this, but at the same time it's not moral, because feeding an enemy territory allows them to continue to do what they do, to continue fighting. And if you say, well, hold on, yeah, but you can't let the civilians pay the price. Actually, that was not our approach to fighting Nazi Germany. It's unfortunate people get caught up, terribly unfortunate that they get caught up in war. But if your government and frankly society condone attacking the sovereign state on their doorstep, you cannot expect that sovereign state to supply you and nourish you as they fight you. And you've got to put some level of responsibility on the citizens as well. And as Rabbi Friedman said in a recent interview we did, an innocent civilian in Torah terms is one that surrenders and makes himself known. It cannot be the job of the Israelis, who are making split-second life and death decisions in warfare, to determine who is and who isn't a civilian. Thank you, Douglas, as always, for enlightening much of the world. Hi everybody, thanks for watching. If you want to watch another one, click here. If you want to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest JTV content, click here. And if you're feeling really keen, you can click the join button down below underneath this video, where you can get perks including early access to new videos and private live discussions with me, where we can talk about JTV content and strategy moving forward, and I'll get to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.